Thank you, Mr. President. I do want to thank my friend from North Dakota. We see things slightly different, but one thing I think we'd probably agree on, you know who is getting paid? The House of Representatives, who's been on vacation since the middle of September. And gosh, wouldn't it be great if they were actually on the floor debating this issue as well, as opposed to getting a taxpayer-paid vacation for over a month? But, you know, Mr. President, I think one of the things we would all kind of agree on, our nation's public servants are not political pawns. I say with due respect to my friend from Wisconsin, you know, the so-called Shutdown Fairness Act, in my view, is anything but fair. And frankly, this entire year has been anything but fair for all of our federal employees who show up every single day to serve the American people. Because remember, before Russ Vought even set foot in the Office of Management and Budget, he bragged that he wanted federal workers, his words not mine, increasingly be viewed as villains and put them in trauma. Think about that. This wasn't some political misstatement or slip of the tongue. It's frankly a mission statement. And unfortunately, that's exactly what we've seen from Mr. Vought, from President Trump, and from those enabling him. In just 9 months, they've forced out or driven into early retirement more than 148,000 federal employees. That's not efficiency or reform. It's an assault on the very people who work every day for the American people. And God knows we can improve, but also make government perform. Now, let's be clear. It's not this side of the aisle, Democrats, who have cherry-picked a few favorite programs to protect. We have been consistent on calling on the administration totally reckless regard for vital services the American people rely on to keep them safe and secure, and standing up for those folks who deliver those services. So forgive me, Mr. President, when I say I don't think the Shutdown Fairness Act has anything to do with fairness. Once again, federal employees are being treated not as partners serving the American people, but as punching bags for Vought and the president's political agenda. Right now, the president is trying to riff another 4,000 federal employees, not just, I believe, unfairly, but actually illegally based upon a court's recent decision. And thank goodness the courts have stepped in. Matter of fact, many of us were at the OMB headquarters across next to the White House just last week, meeting with federal employees, demanding Mr. Vought and his team listen, not to us. You don't have to listen to us. We're political different sides, but listen to the very federal workers whose jobs, and make sure they would get the government reopened, not trying to leverage this for some kind of political win. We're talking about special education programs that support kids with disabilities. We're talking about the CDC, whose experts track outbreaks and try to keep us safe. We're talking about a program called the CDFI Fund at Treasury, a program which broad bipartisan support that helps invest and get access to capital in rural communities and urban communities. And again, on this one, I got to thank particularly Mike Crapo, but a whole lot of my Republican colleagues for being willing to push back. Let's be crystal clear. These actions are not some accident. This is a deliberate choice, a deliberate effort to hold federal workers hostage in order to jam through an agenda that at the end of the day is going to drive up health care costs for millions of Americans. Instead of sitting down with us and working to keep premiums affordable, they're using these very federal workers, and I got a ton of them in Virginia, as political pawns. It's wrong, it's cruel, and it's not going to work. That's why I'm proud to join both the ranking member, Peters, who will be here, I believe, shortly, and my good friend from Maryland, Senator Van Hollen, on legislation to ensure that not the Trump administration pick and choose who we ought to go ahead and pay, but legislation to ensure that all federal workers, and by the way, and the contractors who work side by side with them, get paid during this shutdown. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a moment for every senator to decide. Are you going to stand with the federal workers who keep the government running, or are you going to stand with those who want to traumatize them and make them all be viewed as villains? This is an actual chance. In a few minutes, we're going to have to make sure that those workers can feed their families, pay their mortgages, while this Republican shutdown drags on. I mean, a lot of language on this floor about who wants to support federal workers. Well, you're going to shortly have a chance. Every senator will have a chance to prove whether they're on the side of not selectively paying federal workers, but paying all federal workers as we try to bring this shutdown to an end. I urge my colleague to do the right thing. Let's get it done. And I thank Senator Van Hollen for his leadership on this issue. With that, I yield the floor.